Welcome to Money Talks. My name is Tosin Abayomi. With me I have
Ayola Kelechi.
So we'll be discussing about the richest African football team owners. That's why Ayola give us a breakdown.
Interestingly, among the people who own African football teams, of course, there are some African football club owners who own teams outside of Africa, but within the African sphere, at number 4 is Remo Stars owner, Nigeria's own Kunle Shoname. He's worth about $100 million, according to reports. Most reports have him around that $100 to $110 million, although the exact amount is not really known because, financial records in Nigeria are very interesting. So we don't really know
political...
exactly as well. That also, plays a part in that. And number 3, another Nigerian, Shola Akinlade, that's the owner of Sporting Lagos. He also owns a club in Denmark as well. His exact net worth is not known, but it is reported to be between $100 and $150 million. Of course, he founded the tech company that has gone global. We don't want to give them any free promo. I mentioned their name. And then number 2, Kingsley Pongong. He owns a Kenyan club called Rainbow FC. They're mainly known for actually exporting talent more than their actual on-pitch success. And he is worth $850 million according to Forbes in the last time he was evaluated by Forbes. And number 1, interesting and I think a little bit controversial, is Patrice Motsepe,
the
CAF president, who also is the owner of the Mamelodi Sundowns. He's one of the richest people in South Africa, of course. He's worth about $2.9 billion according to Forbes in 2024. So those are, the richest club owners in Africa.
It's been a while since we've seen development in the Nigerian league, especially progression in the CAF tournament. So what is the correlation between the teams that actually have private owners? There was once a time whereby there was someone like Irvin Khoza that actually held that kind of position. What's the correlation between the successes of those teams and the state-owned teams in the Nigerian league?
Well, unfortunately, it's not going to be, comparable because these state-owned teams are not like the state-owned teams in Europe, for example, where, Manchester City is funded by billions and billions of euros from Qatar, or PSG, same thing, These state-owned teams, unfortunately, especially the ones in Nigeria, for example, are more of government parastatals than they are football clubs.
So they view their working employees as civil servants.
Yes,
basically.
exactly. So they don't really do it for profit per se. It's just like a social responsibility thing that the state has a football club. This is nice for us, So they're not really looking. I mean, now we're seeing some developments where we're seeing people or governments start to take these teams seriously. And I strongly believe that it is because they've seen examples of these private-owned clubs. For example, Remo Stars won the league last season, and people could see the input that Kunle Shoname has made on the team.
In the community also.
Yeah, and the community as well, And the same thing for Sporting Lagos. What they've built is, even though they're not in the first division, the success of the team is there for everybody to see. They've come from literally nothing to go into the MPFL, obviously getting relegated. But what they've been able to build, people can now say, oh, this is possible with football. We can get a community out of our football teams. We can get Katsina United. We can get people to be interested in Katsina United the way that they're interested in Sporting Lagos by just, doing some certain things, some certain ways. And I believe that, just like we saw in South Africa with Patrice Motsepe, once people give good examples of what is possible, other people will be able to, follow suit, including the government parastatals. So even if they see them as, just another arm of their government, they still see the value in them. And so that's why I think it's very important for Africa to have these rich club owners, not just rich, but also passionate about football, who are willing to give out of their, their valuation to their clubs.
What is the step-by-step process in which you will need to set up as a private owner? You will need, what are the most important things to actually have for them to get into Nigerian football and actually maybe get some of these teams and maybe buy them off the states in their respective states?
Well, the thing about buying clubs from states is that, like I said, even though they don't see them as football clubs, they are still very important to the states in terms of how do I describe this now? In terms of like face value, it's good for for a state to have a club, that kind of thing. You can't go to Kaduna and say you want to buy Kaduna United, then they don't have a football team anymore. You can't go to Abia State and say you want to buy the Abia Warriors, for example. But what people would do or can do is to start their own clubs from the grassroots level. Start with a team, register your team, start from the lowest divisions, build your team, build your portfolio of players, scout and get your players, register them, and these things cost a lot of money. We're talking millions of naira.
They are billionaires
per month. So yes, they're billionaires, but it's good for them to also understand the cost of doing business in Nigerian football. And when I say doing business, I don't mean the illegal or funny sides. I mean like genuinely having a roster of players that you pay per month or per week, having a training ground that you rent or you own, things like that are going to cost money. So if you're going to consider getting your own team, you should probably consider you're going to be spending around 100 million naira every year to run the club efficiently. And I'm talking about, at the lowest level, at grassroots level. That's, maybe you're not having to traverse the country, the entire country, like playing a match in Plateau today and then playing a match in Enugu tomorrow. Those other things would obviously increase the cost, but then you have to consider that there's also a lot to gain, because not just in terms of revenue made by winning the competitions, because only one team is going to win at the end of the day, like Remo Stars. But at the same time, Remo Stars will not depend on winning the EFL to make money. They can sell players. They have a great academy, which is also something that a lot of people try to set up as the first step to owning a club.
Shipping players abroad?
Yes, exactly. Having an academy that is able to produce talents efficiently and get them to other countries. A club like Sporting Lagos, for example, whose owner also owns another club in Denmark, can also use that channel and say, okay, you know what?
A feeder team?
Yeah, exactly, as a feeder team to that club, and that club can also, with more exposure, sell more players and earn more money. So it's a steep investment, but it's also very worthwhile.
Yeah, you are looking at it from a certain level. Some people may argue that the security challenges, in terms of communication, transportation, and except you want to look at it as a labor of love. I just love Nigeria so much. Let me set up a club and waste my millions there. It's possible you can look at it from that angle, but there is no real tangible evidence that investing in Nigerian football at the grassroots and local league level is actually beneficial to the billionaire who do it.
Well, I feel like that's beginning to change, especially with the things that we've seen recently. And if we get more people, then we can also use that to get a better structured league,
The league
more
is not even
professional
on TV, bro.
Yeah, but you're not depending on the league being on TV to make money. That's the thing.
Okay, so how does the league make money? This is a conversation. How does the league make money? Sponsorship, TV, and marketing deal. Obviously, like someone like Kunle Shoname, we see the name that is on his jersey. He can afford to put the name on his jersey, but some owners do not have that kind of luxury. So we are saying that, like, for them to actually get investors, for them to actually set up the structure that is needed in terms of the training pitch, the personnel, the physiotherapists, the nutritionists, the coaches, it's a lot to invest, knowing that the reward is just a meager 200 million.
Yeah, for the MPFA owners. That's why, first of all, we're talking from a point of view of,
and that's even if you're in the MPFA.
If you start from the lower divisions,
start from the NLO,
it's much
promotion to
much
the
less
NNL,
standards
to the MPFL.
for the MPFL. So two things that we said. First of all, we are considering people who can afford to do this without feeling that much of a pinch. Someone like, for example, Kunle Shoname with a net worth of $100 million. 100 million naira a year is 1% of his net worth.
Okay.
So he's comfortable enough to do that without really banking on it as a source of wealth. You understand? And it's the same thing with a club like Manchester City. The Emirati groups that sponsor Manchester City are not really looking to make profits. So, first of all, you have to understand where the money comes from. Your money as an investor in Nigerian football, for example, is not going to come from winning the MPFL or winning the youth championship or the FA Cup. It's going to come from the model that Nigerian business owners make money from right now is in exporting talent, which Nigeria is one of the foremost countries in the world for exporting football talent. So if you're expecting to, make back the money that you make, that you spend on your club from sponsorships or media or winning the league title, you'll be disappointed, definitely, because currently things are not as they ought to be. Nigeria's prize money for winners is outside the top 10 in Africa, lower than some countries that you would not even believe. So that's not really
I will believe
that's not really where people currently make their money from. And first of all, like you said, it's going to be a labor of love. You know that you are taking a big risk by owning a football club. Second of all, you have to understand where your money is going to come from.
Yeah, so Ayola has discussed the merits and the demerits of investing in the Nigerian league. We also touched on the richest African owners. So we've come to the end of this segment of Money Talks. Now we'll go into the trivia games.
Hi guys, my name is T and this is Money Talks Fun Facts. Did you know that Neymar's 400 million euros is the most cumulative transfer fees paid for a player in the history of football? 88 million euros to Barcelona, 222 million to PSG, and 90 million euros to Al Hilal. So back to Tosi and Ayola for the trivia segment of Money Talks.
So now we get into the trivia session of Money Talks. Ayola,
should I go first?
Let's have it first.
All right, no problem. First question. Who was the first £1 million player in football history?
Can you give me the year this was?
This is in the 1970s. I believe 1974 to be.
1974. Yes. Let me go with Judge Best.
It's actually Giuseppe Savoldi. Made a move from Bologna rather to Napoli. Some people think it's Trevor Francis, but they're actually wrong because Savoldi made the move to Napoli before Trevor Francis moved to Nottingham Forest.
I actually like to talk about things that are not in the medieval era. So how much the transfer fee for Yakubu Aiyegbeni from Middlesbrough to Everton?
Oh, wow. I thought you said not medieval ages.
That was 2000 and...
Sounds medieval to me. Some people in this room with us were born after Yakubu Aiyegbeni made that move, but it's fine. What's margin of error are you giving me?
$200,000. 200,000 euros. I gave you too much the last time.
Wow. I'm going to stick my neck out and say 20 million euros.
It's actually 11.25.
Wow. I clearly overrated you. I'm sorry about that. Okay. Sticking with transfer fees. Whose transfer fee was higher? Achraf Hakimi to PSG or Joao Cancelo to Manchester City?
I'll go with Achraf Hakimi.
No, it's actually Cancelo. Hakimi went to PSG for £51.3 million, while Cancelo was signed for 60 to Manchester City.
So who is the most expensive teenage transfer? And
teenage?
Yeah. And the fee?
That should be Felix, 127 million euros.
No, in the Premier League actually.
In the Premier League?
Yeah.
Is it still Wayne Rooney?
Wayne Rooney to Everton, I think that was about 30 million.
Yeah, 25 point something million.
No, it's Romeo Lavia.
To
Chelsea.
Oh, I thought you meant like within the Premier League, but no, it's fine, it's fine. So how much did each member of Spain's 2010 World Cup winning team receive?
They did not give them ON. Huh?
I'm sure some of them would have given national orders, but I'm talking about the money.
Let's cap it out. Less than 2 million.
That is very broad. Come on now. That's very broad. In euros, in terms of euros, it's six figures, something 100,000 euros. So how many 100,000 euros?
Let's put it at 150.
It's actually 600,000 euros per player. Does that make what the Super Falcons got seem like?
I just like
chicken change now.
Okay. A final question, Obi. You know, go.
We're just having fun. Well, adults here.
Who has the longest contract in the Premier League?
Longest contract, Erling Haaland. So Erling Haaland has the longest contract in the Premier League.
You didn't mention the amount of
He
years.
signed the 10-year contract.
He's actually 9.
9.5, 10. Come on, but these are the
Yeah, now 0-0.
We'll see.
Nobody wants today. Let's go to the. Now we've come to the end of this segment of Money Talks. Please, nobody wants today. We'll hope for better luck next time. Yeah, so this has been Money Talks. We had a discussion about the richest African club owners. Ayola was able to break it down, and also the Nigerian League and investing, the risk of investing in Nigerian League. We also had the trivia section. This has been Money Talks. My name is Tosin Abayomi.
I believe so. And my name is Ayola Kelechi.
Like and subscribe, please.